Let's say he
Okay.
fights Floyd Mayweather. Who wins in that fight?
If Jake Paul gets that one hit, that one punch, and catches him off guard, that's game over. That one punch is all he needs to knock him down. You don't think that Jake Paul, with several years of experience, can train just for that one punch moment? I don't know, man. I think he could pull it off. Yeah.
And who wins? Who wins that fight?
Oh yeah, 100% Jake Paul. No question in my mind.
What the fuck is wrong with you guys? What the fuck is wrong with you, my nigga? Like, are you sniffing shit? Are you high?
It depends on KSI. I don't know. Is he scared? Like, what's going on?
Do you think he's scared?
Of course. There's a reason why Jake Paul called out Nate Robinson now. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure you can travel internationally now. Like, KSI has no excuse. I think he's been making up an excuse in all of his try not to laugh videos. Like, whenever Jake Paul comes up in his Reddit feed or whatever, there's a lot on the line for KSI. So I would be scared if I was him, honestly.
Welcome to another episode of the Bobcast. For those of you who are boxing fans or just YouTube fans in general, you may have heard of the Jake Paul versus Nate Robinson fight that is coming up today. And so today we have here with us Vandik Vadlapudi, supposedly one of Jake Paul's biggest fans, and he's going to give his predictions on who he thinks is going to win the fight, and also more general takes on Jake Paul's boxing career. So I'm going to let Vandik introduce himself.
What's up, guys? My name is Vandik Vadlapudi. I don't know why I botched my name. I've known this kid for 10 years, and I believe Jake Paul is going to demolish Nate Robinson in round 2 of this bout.
How do you visualize this fight going round by round?
I feel like Jake Paul is going to come in, just toy with him a little bit. He's going to try to cross him up in round 1. Nate Robinson's going to stumble a little, and that's going to catch him off guard. And then in round 2, Nate Robinson's going to be expecting that same sort of stunt. And yeah, I think Jake Paul catches him with a right hook, which knocks him down. He's going to try to walk it off, but he's going to be like stumbling a little, and the ref's just going to call it off.
In round 2, so Jake Paul's been posting stuff on his Instagram. He's been talking his shit like he always does about how Nate Robinson is going to die during the fight and how he's going to turn pro eventually too, and then he's going to fight KSI after this. But Nate Robinson is a pro athlete. He's literally he was literally a professional basketball player who has been involved in athletics his entire life. Jake Paul is a YouTuber. What gives you the confidence to say Jake Paul could beat Nate Robinson?
Okay, I just want to start off by saying, what were Nate Robinson's previous fights? Can anyone name any? He has had 0 previous fights, not even a single amateur boxing fight. He just straight up signed the professional fight waiver, whatever, and became a professional boxer. So Nate Robinson has 0 fights in his book. Jake Paul has had 1 amateur boxing fight with this YouTuber called Deji, I agree he was not the best. Look, he was pretty chubby, had a dad bod. So I will exclude that. But he did beat.
He almost beat Jake though. He almost beat Jake.
I wouldn't say him winning every round, or Jake winning every round being a close match whatsoever. So, Deji was clearly tired throughout that fight. Like immediately within the 30 seconds, he was gassed out. And Jake Paul won every round. I cannot agree that was a close fight at all. But then he had a professional fight with Anderson Gibb, and he demolished Anderson Gibb. And let me just say, Anderson Gibb was a longtime sparring partner with KSI, the one the one who technically defeated Logan Paul in the recent boxing match between the two. And yeah, they were very close, similar talent level, and he showed a lot of He gave KSI a nightmare in his training matches.
Oh my
and
God! Stop.
He did. You can watch the KSI documentaries, and KSI is clearly gassed out versus Gib. Even who's their trainer, Vidal Riley, says time and time again that Gib and KSI are very close level in terms of talent. He's done ranking videos and ranked them first and second and said they were very close. You can watch the videos. And what Jake Paul demolished him in the first round within 1 minute. It was looking like a crab. If that
okay, fine.
If that crab took KSI to like 6 rounds the full time, then and KSI beat Logan Paul, I mean, the math adds up. Jake Paul is clearly talented. He has. I mean, he's looking good out there. Sure. Sharp movement, sharp boxing technique. So yeah, I mean, in terms of experience, right there, Jake Paul is clearly outnumbers Nate Robinson.
Sure, he has the upper hand in experience. I'll give you that. He has 2 fights. Nate Robinson has 0 official fights, whatever if you want to call it.
Yes.
But who do you really think that Jake Paul has faced competition that's suitable to his level? Like you even said, Deji was a chubby, out of shape guy who, like, I could tell that I think the whole world could tell that there was no competition between Deji and Jake Paul. It was going to be over. And despite that, I think it was a closer fight than a lot of people thought. And Deji still was able to hurt Jake Paul, even though it shouldn't have been close at all. And fine, you say it wasn't really close, maybe, but I think Deji outperformed a lot of people's expectations against Jake Paul. And then you see him versus this other YouTuber, Anderson Gibbs or whatever. It was a great performance for like a few minutes, but the fight was like over after a few minutes. There's a difference between fighting whoever, a random YouTuber versus a professional athlete, especially in terms of their endurance. We haven't seen, like, in the fight against Deji, Jake Paul got gassed out pretty quick. Like, Deji got gassed out, but so did Jake Paul. In the second fight, he got lucky, you could say, that his opponent was so weak that he was able to knock him out within the first few minutes. We haven't seen Jake Paul been able to last and go into deep waters, which is something I think a professional athlete like Nate Robinson could do. So do you really think that even despite Jake's questionable competition in the past, that he still has the ability to go into deep waters if needed? And you said knock out Nate Robinson in the second round?
Yep. So yeah, I can respond to all of that. So I'd like to first start off with the Jake Paul and Deji fight. So this was an amateur boxing fight. They were wearing headgear. Their gloves weighed more. So it was pretty obvious that they were going to get gassed out. And there wasn't going to be any like significant blows that's going to knock the other person out. It was going to be a fight that was going to go the distance. As much as Jake Paul said he was going to knock Deji out within first or second round, it was an amateur boxing fight. And those fights tend to go like to the distance. So yes, I do believe that was, as much as, yes, it was close in that it lasted 5 rounds, it was not close in terms of points whatsoever. And yeah, so, and then Anderson Gibb, that's when they took off the headgears and the size of the gloves got smaller. And that's where Jake Paul was able to truly show his talent. And he looked sharp. Yeah, okay, Gibb. Yeah, wait, let me just add that Gibb had 3 years of boxing experience. He actually started boxing before KSI. He trained with Vidal Riley to lose a lot of weight, and he's been training with Vidal Riley since then. And boxing was a form of sport that would make him lose weight, and he's been following that for quite some time. And so technically, Anderson Gibb was more experienced than Jake Paul in terms of the length of how much they trained for boxing. So you really can't say Anderson Gibb wasn't a fair competition. Maybe the height was a little favored towards Jake,
yeah,
but
there was a pretty decent height difference and weight difference.
But Anderson Gibb was a trained fighter. He trained for a long time. And now Nate Robinson. Yes, he's a professional athlete. But he's a professional athlete nearing 40 years old with zero boxing experience. He's out of his prime. He should be retired. He should be sitting down, watching movies, just relaxing with his kids. Like, I don't know what he's doing getting in the boxing ring. Like, this is not the age to fight. And
okay, fine. Okay, so we get it that we get it. You think Nate Robinson doesn't have any relevant experience.
yes.
Jake Paul obviously has the upper hand in fights.
Yeah.
And then obviously this fight is going to be an undercard to
Yes.
Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr.
Yeah.
I'm curious if Jake Paul were to fight either of those fighters, who do you think would win?
Wait, Jake Paul versus Roy Jones Jr. and Mike Tyson.
Yep. If he were to fight both of those separately, does he win against either of them?
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't think so. He's not trained enough for that.
Really? Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yes, age, they're very old, but they've trained for what, 20 years, like at least, or 15 to 20 years. Like, that's no match. Like, I think experience outweighs a lot of other factors.
They're like in the 50s. They're in the 50s. So Jake Paul is, he's a young guy in the prime of his career. You still don't think that?
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I think experience outweighs everything else. And the fact that Jake Paul has experience over Nate Robinson, and the fact that Jake Paul's in his prime, while Nate Robinson's like about to be retired, it's just not fair at all. And I'd like to add the height difference, the weight difference. The weight difference is huge. They're going to be 20 pounds apart by the time of the fight.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you can argue that Jake has always had that advantage when fighting people too, but fine. Let's make the fight a little bit more fair.
He has prior practice with dealing with people that weigh less than him, so it just all adds up. Jake Paul is going to destroy Nate Robinson.
All right, let's make the fight a little bit more fair then. Let's say he fights someone with experience, but who's not in his weight class, who he outweighs by quite a bit. Let's say he fights Floyd Mayweather. Who wins in that fight?
If Jake Paul gets that one hit, that one punch, and catches him off guard, that's game over. That one punch is all he needs to knock him down. You don't think that Jake Paul, with several years of experience, can train just for that one punch moment? I don't know, man. I think he could pull it off. I'll give him I'll give him a 30% chance.
Jake Paul has a 30% chance to beat Floyd Mayweather.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And let's move on to someone a little bit more realistic. Everyone expects Jake Paul to call out fellow YouTuber boxer KSI if he wins this fight.
Yeah.
First of all, do you think that fight will happen? And obviously, second of all, if it does, who do you think will win? Because we know that KSI did in fact beat Logan Paul a year ago, who is arguably and probably consensually the better fighter and better athlete among the brothers.
Yeah, so this question honestly depends on KSI. I don't know, is he scared? Like, what's going on?
Do you think he's scared?
Of course. There's a reason why Jake Paul called out Nate Robinson now. Like I mean, I'm pretty sure you can travel internationally now. Like, KSI has no excuse. I think he's been making up an excuse in all of his try not to laugh videos. Like, whenever Jake Paul comes up in his Reddit feed or whatever, first time it was he couldn't come over to the United States. Now he's saying not enough money. Like, come on. And I think previously he said music. I mean, come on. He's just constantly making up excuses. Everyone knows this is a big money fight. They know they're gonna get paid. There's a lot on the line for KSI, so I would be scared if I was him, honestly. So yeah, honestly, it depends on KSI. If he wants to take the fight, then yeah.
And who wins? Who wins that fight?
Oh yeah, 100% Jake Paul. No question in my mind.
Really? Even though KSI beat Logan Paul, his brother, you think Jake Paul still wins?
I mean, I gotta be honest. Logan Paul didn't look like he wanted to be there. Like he just didn't have seeing his walkout, seeing his like interviews, like minutes leading into the fight, it just seemed something was off. And I do think he was sick or something, not feeling well, and that caused him to lose the fight. So honestly, if there were
Think he was sick?
yeah, he gets sick pretty often. So
Okay.
if they were to rematch, I think Logan Paul destroys KSI. Unfortunately,
Really? Okay.
Unfortunately, that's not what happened, and KSI will never take a fight with Logan Paul again because he knows he lucked out and he got away with one. And now Jake Paul, who's all heated up about his brother losing to KSI. It's just an ego thing at this point, and he's gonna go ham. That's his main target. That's his main goal, and yeah, it really looks like Jake Paul is trying to catch him, and KSI is trying to run away as much as possible. And at some point, Jake Paul is going to catch him, and that fight's going to happen.
All right. Thank you very much, Vandik. Let us know in the comments whether you agree with Vandik, if you think that this Jake Paul and KSI fight will happen, and let us know who you think would win that fight if it did.